So we have come to the end of the 5-day program on Neuro Linguistic Programming. So I hope almost all of you have introduced NLP into your lives. So likewise, I am an academician, so I have started using NLP in my career as well. So my topic would be, as you already can guess, it's NLP for teachers. So prior to NLP, a teacher would get an idea, basic idea, she would deliver it in her style, and it would click for some students and it would not click for the rest of them. And what happens is the idea eventually gets lost, it loses its credibility. So in NLP we have got representational styles, isn't it? So they are visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory. These two have minimal relevance in classroom teaching, so I am going to conveniently avoid it. So this visual, auditory and kinesthetic, the teacher can use these representational styles to deliver her teaching effectively. So the thing is, for a visual, if a student is visual, then she can use, for students who are with visual acuity, she can use charts, flip charts, demonstrations, etc. For auditory students, she can make use of verbal explanation. For kinesthetic, I have noticed that some students who are not good at theory subjects, they do very well in labs. So they need a hands-on experience. So kinesthetic people fall into that. So what I am suggesting is, teachers, he or she can tailor her teaching style to suit each and every child, each and every student. Now the thing is, next is this was representational style. Next is perceptual positioning. Sometimes it becomes absolutely necessary for teachers to make her students look in different perspectives. Like sir said, we can choose 3 different students having 3 different opinions, make them sit in 3 chairs. You can ask them the exercise which we did, which someone did here. You can ask the student to get up, sit in another chair, view in that perspective, then again move it to another chair. So by doing this, the physical process of getting up and sitting in a chair and then viewing in that perspective, again doing the same thing, it will enable the students to actually compel the students, it voluntarily compels the students to, compels the students to view in that perspective. This can be applicable when there is, there is a bullying victim, between a bully and a victim. You can make them sit together and you can do this perceptual position so that both of them can understand what is actually going on in their mind. Now next is, I would like to talk about establishing rapport in class. What I suggest to teachers is that always enter the class or begin the class with a smile. Maintain eye contact with each and every one of your students. Then I try to call each and every student by their names. So I am a visual person, but I tend to remember faces and names. Sometimes I use but then now I have changed my style. I try to remember names. It's better to call students by their names. Then next is presuppositions. Now I am not going to touch all of presuppositions. Mainly one is choice. If you want to make your students do something for you, get something done, you can give them choices. Do you want to draw the graph first or do you want to do the questions? Eventually they won't be liking either of them, but eventually you will make them do it. You can get them to do it by giving them a choice. Then next is, like sir said, embedded commands. Embedded commands, you can't you? Or you can say like, it's 3 p.m. already, then you have studied the questions, you have revised first, now would it be a good time for a test? Eventually they yes, and finally it will be a yes. Eventually they will agree. So you can reframe your language in class to make your students do whatever you wish, but then in a way that they won't even realize that you are manipulating them. Then next is tag questions. Tag questions, these 3 come under the same thing. You can, like what I said, tag questions are what, it's 3 p.m. already, you have revised the question, studied the questions, you have revised, and then you can, now would be a good time for a test. These come under tag questions. Then next is breaking state. Now last semester I had a theory subject and it was very dry, and I kept on lecturing, and because of my experience, I don't know, I can sense students when they are out of their concentration. They will be physically present, their eyes will be open, they will be sitting like as if they have swallowed a rod, but I can sense when they go into a trance. Now what I do is, I give them a 2-minute, I say just take a 2-minute break. Then somebody said, Maggie undakkanano teacher. So I was like, okay, don't take a 2-minute break, take a 1-minute break. Then again, sometimes I have class from 11:45 to 12:45, just before lunch break. So then I will be constantly delivering the lecture, and we have the perimeter of the college is surrounded by locals, small houses. Sometimes I say, ഒരു മീൻ വറക്കുന്ന മണം കിട്ടുന്നുണ്ടോ? They will, some students who are listening, they will start laughing. The others who are in a trance, they will be, the teacher enda ipo parne, enda parne? They will wake up from their trance actually. So I just try to wake them up from their trance by doing these subtle measures. Then next is, I don't have space to write. Next is reframing. Now we have staff advisorships, you proctor, you are staff advisor for particular students. Suppose sometimes students come and confide in us their problems. Now what I do is, if a student, for example, not going to in detail, if a student comes and tells you, I am afraid to take this test, I don't think I can do this test. Now what we can do is, as an NLP practitioner, we can reframe that sentence and eventually make them say that it will be important if I start my revision early. So they will study early, the revision is also early. Naturally, if you do these things on time, you will be able to pass the test. Reframe their problems, make them confident. Then next, sir has said, when you say do not think of a blue elephant, you end up thinking only of the blue elephant. Now don't say like that. Don't talk in my class, eventually they will talk. So what you can say is, please be silent in my class, please remain silent in my class. Or you can say to your students, don't run in the corridors, you can say walk in the corridors. Instead of saying don't, you can just change it. You can take that negative part out. So these are the things that I observed, I would like to embed, use in my teaching profession since I have learned NLP. I think it has been very useful for me, and it is not only applicable for teachers. You could, as parents, you could manipulate your children as well. I am trying it on my daughter, and there were good results. So you can manipulate your children also to do whatever you want by doing all these. Doing all these things. Now, what I would suggest is, if a teacher were an NLP practitioner, teachers were NLP practitioners, then I think the student community would get maximum benefit. We would be able to reap the maximum out of them. So I suggest, so what my conclusion is, NLP is the best thing that has ever happened to me. I try to improve my career as well as my family life through NLP. And then my final word is that all teachers, we can make use of NLP for effective classroom teaching. Thank you.